Hello guys, welcome back. Now I want to talk about the Dion Phaneuf for Marian Gaborik basically deal that just reported, that was just happening. I want to talk about it. So the Kings acquired Dion Phaneuf, 25% retained on the salary. Nate Thompson also, and the Senators acquire Marian Gaborik and Nate Shore. It seems like a pretty even deal, but I don't even know if it benefits either team really. Now we'll start with Marian Gaborik, who has 14 points, 29 games, basically a point every other game. He has a $4.875 million contract till 2021. He's playing pretty decent, especially since the injuries in the past. I think he's still injured, but he's a great story right now. And of course, he's come back from the injuries that has basically plagued his career from the past couple of seasons. And the Senators also acquire Nick Shore, who has 15 points. He's on a $925K deal, so he's basically on a minor league contract. But he's a pretty good player for the NHL, a fourth line center. If you have him in a fourth line center, your team's pretty good. And he's a pretty good fourth line center for the Senators, and I think he'll play well there too. And of course, the Kings acquire the aforementioned Dion Phaneuf and Nate Thompson, who has 11 points, and I think it was like basically the full season. He has a $1.65 million contract till 18-19. That's a little bit shaky because 11 points in almost a full season is not very good, but it is what it is. The Kings are basically getting this for Dion Phaneuf, and the way I see it, both teams are kind of wanting for a little bit of a shake-up. Both teams are kind of playing terrible right now. Of course, the Senators have played basically bad ever since the start of the season, and the Kings have been a little bit of a landslide since the start of the season, and they're trying to get back to the playoffs and get back into the playoff contention. I think I see this as a shake-up for both teams. Dion Phaneuf could strengthen the Kings' blue line there, but I don't know how much he'll strengthen them necessarily because their defense is already pretty good. But for the Senators, I think the Senators blew this trade away. I think that they got the best trade from here. One, because they get the cap out from Dion Phaneuf out of here. Even with 25% retained, that's still $1 million off the cap, basically. And that's a lot. That's a big amount for getting guys like Erik Karlsson resigned, Mark Stone resigned. That's big, $1 million for them. They can use that wherever they want. And Marian Gaborik coming back, he's coming off of injuries, sure, but he's played a lot better this season, and of course he's a winger for them. He could be in a top 6 role, possibly for them, and he could be energized to play for the Senators. But for the Kings, that just a little bit more amount on the cap can really be stressful for them. Re-signing Doughty is going to be even more of a struggle for them. They're going to have more cap space up for the Bucks now because Dion Phaneuf has a pretty lengthy contract. I think it goes up to like 2021, something like that. Very close to the Marian Gaborik deal, but still a lot worse. But Dion Phaneuf, he's a decent defenseman. He's still playing well. I think he has like 16 points. I don't know about his Corsi or whatever. But he's still playing decently for the Senators. He hasn't played like the years past where he's still a great defenseman, but he's still decent. Nate Thompson coming back to the Kings, he isn't going to do much for them. Maybe a fourth-line center or a fourth-line role at best for them. I don't see him getting much playing time, especially since the Kings' depth is really good this season. And with Nick Shore, I see him being a better fit with the Senators now. He'll probably get more playing time with the Senators than he would with Kings. And Marian Gaborik gets another chance in Senators' role, maybe even getting more ice time than he would in the LA Kings organization. And that's good for him. He could play better with the Senators. And so could Dion Phaneuf. Maybe he wants a change of scenery. Of course, going to LA, that's a fantastic place to live and a fantastic place to play. So I bet he's energized for it. And I think both teams, both players, and Marian Gaborik and Dion Phaneuf will play better than they would on their prior teams. I think the change of scenery is going to help both teams here. And as we look to the Thompson and Shore side of the deals, Shore, I think, benefits the Senators really well. I think he could substitute not even in a fourth-line role, but in the third-line role. He could be a third-line center for him, and that could be a pretty good deal for the Senators to get that guy as a third-line center. I think he's a pretty good center there at third line. And Nate Thompson, I don't know how he'll really fit in LA. I don't even know if they'll have not the cap space, but the room for him, just the pure minutes for Nate Thompson. I don't know if they'll actually have him in the NHL, the AHL, but I think that for the Nate Shore and the Thompson side of things, of course, I think the Senators definitely win that trade. Nick Shore is the much better player there. I just want to highlight how Gaborik has really returned to the NHL. I say just last year, we really thought Marian Gaborik was just gone, and that was just going to be a dead contract for the Kings for a while now. That contract was just looking terrible. But Gaborik comes back and plays decent for the Kings, and that really looks a lot better for them. Being able to ship it off is good, though. He's definitely not worth $5 million, but he's still a decent player there, and to come back from all the injuries that he had is really quite surprising. I didn't even know he was playing until like a couple of months ago. I didn't even know he was still in the NHL, but apparently he came back and was playing well, and I'm happy for him. He gets another chance in Ottawa. Of course, Dion Phaneuf gets a great chance in LA there. Now, if I had to give the definitive winner for this trade, I'd have to give the slight edge to the Senators here. They get Marian Gaborik, who fixes their winger depth a little bit there, and he'll play well for the Senators, I do believe. And then they get Nick Shore, who is good as a third center. That's probably the role that he'll be used as, and I think he'll be good for that spot. The Senators just get a little bit off the cap there, and every little bit helps when you're re-signing Carlson and Mark Stone and all those guys that they need to re-sign. Every single part helps, and every single cent really does help. So I think that the Senators did really win this trade, and for the Kings, you get a little bit more cap on the block here. And it's just a little bit more of a trouble for Doughty to get re-signed. That's just a little bit more of a hassle that they're going to have to go through. I don't know how they're going to really handle Dion Phaneuf. I don't know the ice time that he'll get. But for right now, if I had to give a conclusive answer, I'd give it to the Senators right now. That's good today, guys. Like and subscribe if you have not, ringing that bell if you haven't. Tell me down below what your opinions on the trade. If Senators won, the Kings won. But that's good today, guys. Goodbye.